thanks for coming out. My name is Eric Norlander. I'm one of the developers of this beautiful new software instrument, SampleTank 4. We have a very special guest today who is going to tell you a little bit about it, but even better, let you hear a little bit about it. So please welcome our friend, the incomparable Jordan Rudess.
Thank you so much, Eric. So before I go into the details, I put together a bunch of sounds. I was very inspired. Eric came to my house, I guess a few weeks ago, and we had a lot of fun. I put together a video demo, which you can find online, of me playing some of the sounds. There's audio demos as well. And I had a great time because I've been kind of following along with SampleTank and endorsing it and using it for quite a long time. But when it came with SampleTank 4, I was like, oh my God, this is really substantial. This thing is amazing. It's become this, humongous platform to just create like so many different kinds of sounds. The world of SampleTank has expanded so much. So I'll just play something, one of the sounds I created that I was inspired to do. You can do all different kinds of splits and layers, and this one's pretty cool because it features very large bass. It was built around the new clavinet sound. The NAMM show is a great opportunity for me to improvise.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing, just in case. You're wondering, what's that piece? It's no piece. I'm just making it up for you guys on the spot. So let's get into some details about SampleTank 4. For one, the first sound that I played when Eric came over, which he was excited to show me, which I'm excited to play, is the new piano. My background is classical piano, and great piano sound means a whole lot to me. So this is what it sounds like. Thank you. So SampleTank 4, let's talk a little bit about it, which is very exciting. It's hard to believe, but it is very true that now SampleTank 4 has 200 gigabytes of new sample data. That's a lot, and it was a lot before. But it's more than doubled, right?
The original SampleTank 3 universe was about 50 gigabytes in total. So the core product was 30 gigabytes for SampleTank 3, and then all the various instrument collections like Neil Peart drums, the Alan Parsons Imperial Grand, added another 20 gigabytes. So we're talking 50 gigabytes in total. All of that you can play inside SampleTank 4. No conversions necessary. It just loads it. It works beautifully. But even better, we've recorded 200 gigabytes of new material. So 4 times the size of the whole entire previous SampleTank universe.
And for those of you who are familiar with IK Multimedia, you know that they've been a leader in creating effects. You know, if you're a guitar player out there, it's very possible that you've been using Amplitude. And so that world here is very strong. So what's really cool, and it's important for people to realize, especially for keyboard players, is that all of those things are now inside of SampleTank 4. So when you're, any of the sounds I'm using, I'm calling upon these amazing effects that IK has developed. And there's, I think, 70 effects altogether.
Right, 70 total effects now.
Right, and they come from the T-Rax and from Amplitude.
Right.
And they're very powerful. I also want to mention before I play the next sound is some of the best things about this library are the keyboard sounds. And my friend Eric over here is, first of all, a wonderful player, but he's also a master at sampling all these instruments. And he goes to great lengths to find the perfect instruments to sample. Matter of fact, he was telling me a story about the Rhodes that he found, just looking for the perfect serial number, the perfect year, having it restored, and then going into sampling it. And they really sound amazing. This is the Rhodes. Benefit from the time you spent making that really
excellent.
Really
yes,
right.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And that carries across the entire product. I mean, we were really obsessive about the instruments we recorded. No matter how good of a recordist you are, no matter how good of an editor you are, unless the source instrument sounds beautiful, it's just not going to work.
The Rhodes inspired me to create this blend as well. So what's very, very cool is you can have up to 16 parts. So you can make, all these splits and all these layers, and it's so open. It's so inspiring when you start working on these sounds. So some of the sounds I made, I went slightly crazy adding parts, and there's actually 4 new, what do we call them, like the Arpeggiator, the strummer?
Players.
Players, yes, so the 4 new players. There's the Arpeggiator, the strummer, the phaser, and the looper. So like this sound uses the Arpeggiator, and I have it on a latch, so when I hit a... So it'll continue to play, and every time I lift up and play a new note or chord, it basically will remove the other one and play the new notes, which is very cool. And then the right hand, I have doing something else. So here we go. Very cool. I was very inspired by some of the new choirs, and when I was creating the sound, I thought, okay, these choirs are awesome, but the only thing missing is a huge pipe organ. And I added that to the mix, and when I made the sound, I was like, oh my God, this is an incredible sound, and I sent it to Eric. I was like, you gotta hear this, it's really intense. And it sounds like this. Yeah, that's a cool sound.
Beautiful, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's using the convolution reverb as
Which
well.
I love.
So it's a impulse response of a huge church, which is where, of course, you'd find a pipe organ and a choir like that.
You know, I started off making this sound, and I was using just like a kind of traditional stage or hall reverb, and it sounded good. Then I was like poking around in the interface. I was like, what is this convolution thing? And I turned it on, and immediately I was like, oh my God, this really, really sounds cool. So I started making all my sounds with the convolution reverb because it was like amazing. So we should talk about, just for a minute, the way that SampleTank incorporates all the other libraries. Eric's had a very busy time over the last years because he has one of the biggest synthesizer collections known to man. And I'm afraid to go over to his house because I'll probably end up staying there for a really long time and missing the Dream Theater tour, which I shouldn't really do. I'll get caught up playing your Hammonds and your Mellotrons and your modulars and all the good stuff. But anyway, so he's been busy because he created this amazing Syntronic library, which features a gazillion synthesizers. I'm sure he can tell you the number, but it's a very large platform that just has like so many possibilities for all these synthesizers, and the whole thing can be loaded into the SampleTank 4 engine, which is really pretty amazing. Not only that, the Miroslav Philharmonic Orchestral Library can be loaded into SampleTank 4 as well. And then you have this whole new interface where you can just like really get into the sounds and do things that you've never been able to do before. Actually, the other day I was playing with the resynthesis option, which I guess has been in there for a while. The resynthesis lets you take a sampled sound and you can resynthesize it and then start changing the formants of the sound to just really get the character to be very different, and a lot of different cool options.
Right.
Yeah. So one of my favorite sounds is this one. I was very inspired by this nylon guitar. This actually has some strings with it.
This one actually it's a good choice. This was actually recorded at the new IK recording studio
cool.
in our facility in Modena, Italy. So we built a super elaborate recording studio. You can go on the website and see photos of it for exactly this reason, so that we could put an amazing musician in a room and just let him sample for days, weeks, months, etc. We have so many great guitar players at IK, and this nylon guitar is the result of one of those sessions.
It's hard to imagine getting mellow at a NAMM show, right? It takes a great amount of focus. I'm working. This is my new meditation practice, is to be at the NAMM show and to calm down enough that I can play something relaxing and project it enough that I can maybe give you guys a little piece as well.
We hid all of the rectifier guitar patches so you couldn't find them.
That's right. I was looking for one of those. I couldn't find it. It's true. So let's keep looking. All right, I'm going to play this very cool sound next. One of the things that Eric turned me on to kind of early on in our sessions was the Chapman Stick sounds. I thought they were really cool. You know, I've worked very closely with Tony Levin over the years, who's a wonderful musician and a great stick player, and I totally have that kind of implanted in my brain, that whole approach to the stick. So this is actually a kind of a combination of a couple of the sticks that are in there.
Beautiful.
Again, I don't know what the hell I'm playing, but I'm playing it. Just so you know, I'm just improvising here, which is a whole lot of fun. Let's keep going. Maybe we'll tell them a little something else about. Oh yes, I know what I wanted to point out. One of the things I noticed when editing is the, a lot of it's very, very new, and the part that was really cool and helpful are the visual envelopes, the visual filter, the visual LFOs. So. Always helpful to have informative and also good-looking visuals, right?
We're an Italian company, so, style is very important.
I like watching my envelopes and things go. That's cool. And I like seeing if I'm playing the right notes. Can it also print out the meters for me?
That's in a future update.
Cool. Yeah, I'd like to know as I'm playing, like what meters I'm playing in. That would be a good trick, wouldn't it?
Meter detection, yes.
Right, exactly. So let's look on further. I would definitely trust Eric with his Hammond sounds. I assume this came from one of your Hammonds at home? Or?
Yes, that's true. And another obsessively restored and maintained instrument.
So which one is this that I'm about to play?
This is a C3 from, I believe, 1962.
What about this one?
That's several things you've layered together.
Very good. Good answer. You passed the test. Thank you. This is actually the sound, you know, we're still kind of working on categorizing everything because the search engine here is going to be amazing. But the one thing that I could not find when I was looking was the distorted guitar sound that I know is in there. And you guitarists out there will probably be very happy that I didn't find it because a lot of you don't really like sample guitars. But anyway, I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. But I was able to make this sound by doing some layers, and I thought it actually worked out very well because the distortions in here are really fantastic. So this one. Kind of cool. You know, I make my living making dirty keyboard sounds. Of course, with Dream Theater, they've got to be. My ego has nothing to do with any of this, but I do make a lot of really grungy, dirty, filthy, angry keyboard sounds. And whenever I play them, like if I were to play this sound on stage, everybody'd be looking at John and going, John Petrucci, thinking that that's a great guitar sound. Meanwhile, it's me. So the ego just kind of rests, and I do my thing quietly. What have I not shown? Oh yeah, this is a cool sound. This is another one that I made. It's using the new Andean flute, actually. But I got a little bit aggressive with it, and I assigned it so that my left hand would do some latching of an arpeggiator. My right hand could play the flute, I think with a little bit of an attack sound mixed in, and I had the pitch bend only assigned to that area and those sounds. So you hear the flute, but you also hear this little attack. It gives my fingers some nice satisfaction when I'm moving quickly. I'm very into the layering thing, and SampleTank 4 really lets me do that and have some real fun with it. So that's that part, and then if I play my left hand, I can hang out. Awesome. So I played before a mixture of the organ and the choirs, but I wanted to play the choirs alone because they're really beautiful. Here we go. Thank you. Let's see. Because I'm a prog rocker at heart, when I first played the Kalimba sound, which is a new Kalimba, I had to turn it into prog. Sorry. But I think there's, can we see the layers?
Yes.
Yeah, let's take a look at the layers that I put together for this sound.
So you're using 7 parts.
There's a lot of parts.
You've
What was
got
I
a-
thinking?
You have one Kalimba, and then you have several synths from Syntronic.
Right.
There's samples of the Jupiter 8, of the Mini Moog, of the SY99.
There's a lot of stuff.
You're-
Let's check
you're-
it out.
you're using it.
Matter of fact, let's solo the Kalimba first so we can hear that, just to get a perspective. We hear that soloed. Shall we add in the rest? And see what happens? Here we go. Let's see what, I don't even remember what I created, but here it is. Thank you, Kalimba Prague. I'll play one more sound. You know, one of the most powerful things about this is what we said before, which is you can load in the entire Syntronic library into SampleTank 4, and you start just coming up with these cool layers. Let's look at that one too, so people get a perspective of what's going on. This is four sounds all together. Let's listen to the Warp Wave Dark one alone for a minute.
So this is a new SampleTank 4 synthesizer.
Right, right. My goal in creating this sound was to come up with something that was very, very large, because I knew the potential was there. And when Eric turned me on to that sound, I was like, that's really cool, but then what can we add to it? So let's add the other layers and see what...
So you're adding some of the new choir sounds that were recorded in Bologna, Italy, I believe, and then two Syntronic Oberheim OBXA sounds.
Yeah. Thank you. So at this point, I'll play the Wurlitzer, and then, yeah, we'll go from there. I love the way this one pops. This is a good choice. Well done, my friend. That's a lot of fun to play. So is there anything else technically or verbally that you'd like to add to my program before I close up shop?
You've done a wonderful job.
Then I'll leave everybody with the voice of God and tell you to have a wonderful day for the rest of day 2 at NAMM, and I'll stick around for a little bit. Eric will be here if you have any questions. My tech, Keith Wexler, will be here if you want to know anything technical at all about musical equipment. And it was wonderful to be here with IK. Thanks all of you and the team, and I will see all of you on the road. Thank you. Good night.
Let's hear it for Jordan Rudess.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Jordan.
All right.